Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY and the next step in our demo series on building a vehicle through form studies. As you can see here, in my earlier demos, I did a series of form studies based around this 3D sketch that I did of a sort of future Mercedes SL Coupe, and also incorporating a form study that I did for this manned aerial quadcopter. And so I started with just doing form studies based on the original sketch, which have this very familiar automotive look. And then I started to incorporate some of the form studies that I did for the aerial vehicles, which are a little bit more adventurous. And so I wanted to come up with something a bit more, something super elegant, but a bit more futuristic and more innovative. And so I landed on this sketch here, where I literally took the form of the aerial vehicle, my favorite of the three, and just morphed the dimensions to the sketch. So now it accommodates the two occupants of the coupe. And so in this demo today, I'm going to start to show you how I'm going to develop this into a full, complete vehicle, starting with how we control the wheel arches. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the form studies. I'm going to turn off the original sketch layer. And so as you can see, I've got this very simple, very elegant shape. So what I'm going to do now is start to sketch out the next steps in this design. First thing I want to do is start to sketch out, what are some of the front end and rear end details of this thing. Maybe also figure out the shape of the glass, the DLO. Being that this is it's going to be an SL concept, I'm going to make the three-pointed star very prominent on the front end. And then just start to sketch out, just the form of the vehicle and how the wheel arches come together. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we can go about incorporating wheel forms. One is we can do a blended approach where they're part of this original form, or they could be separate fender forms that lead into like vents or scoops or something like that. So I'm going to probably try some of both. I'll try both approaches. And you can see, a couple of different ways that we can go about this. So I'm just kind of sketching out what does the remainder of this body look like. And as you can see, I'm also thinking about how to maybe correct the form here. So I'm also going to think about the graphics of the glass. And I just want to come up with something very, very progressive. And what I may do is go back to that aerial vehicle and develop like a pair of concepts, the aerial version and the land version. So I'm thinking about this very, very futuristic kind of all glass roof. So, we might end up having an extractor detail here. We'll see. Maybe we'll try both approaches. We'll try a blended approach, and then we'll try a more of an add-on approach. So now I'm, by building out the rear corner of the car, you can see that right now with the form study, it has this kind of pinched look to it. It looks like it's not quite settled on the ground. Adding the rear quarter bodywork is really going to help settle that down. So now that I have this second sketch, I'm going to turn the opacity way down. And so what we're going to do now is focus on the wheel arches. The wheel arches are really important in how the car sits on the road. It's really central to setting up the proper stance and proportioning. So what I like to do is start with a simple sub-D ribbon. So I have my sub-D turned on in ribbon stroke, point mode. And I'm going to start with building a small wheel flat around the tire. And we're going to get this in the right position. Here, I'm going to just give it a different color so you can see it a little more easily. So in low poly mode, you can see it's only got 5 sides to it, and I'm using the thumb joystick to control the distance between those points. And also I'm going to make sure that the top of the wheel arch is fairly flush to the tire face, but then it kind of rolls under. It's how most cars are set up. So you can see now when I turn it on smooth view, it's got this very consistent round shape. And it tumbles in nicely. I'm also going to add a hem flange. So I'm gonna do auto select loops, and I'm just gonna extrude a small surface inward and put an edge on that. So now we have this nice hemmed edge. So I'm gonna take that shape, I'm gonna duplicate it, send it to the rear wheel. Now the front and the rear never quite match in real life. So what I'm probably gonna do is tuck in the rear a bit more and maybe pull out the front slightly so that a little bit more of the rear tire is exposed. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back to body color. And you can see I have this mirrored. So right now I'm approaching this as separate volumes, which I will somehow integrate into the body later. Now, one thing I do need to do with the original form is bring the back end down a little bit more. Because we're going to build out this rear end as well. So let's start with this rear haunch. This is going to really help to fill out the proportion of the vehicle. What I'm going to do is turn everything into, I'm just going to leave it this way. Okay, so I'm going to turn this to low poly view so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm going to start with just extruding inward using auto select loops. And then just start to stretch out the body from there. And I'm going to work polygonally till I have everything how I want it. I'm going to put another edge on this wheel flat. So you can see that's an extremely lean body over those wheels. So I'll try and do the same on the front. I'm going to try to bring it out to this corner here. So this is a good way to just very quickly understand the volumes that you're working to. But you can see it's going to be messy. So you can see I could form like a vent in here, perhaps. Okay. So it's starting to fill itself out a bit more. Where the car has a little bit more of a planted look. But as you can see, the transitions between the body and the tires are quite, and the wheel openings, the transitions are quite messy at the moment. But one thing that it is telling me is that the body is too low in the rear. I need to actually bring it back up a little bit. So that I can get a little bit more read on these wheel openings. That feels a little bit more, planted. Doesn't look quite like it's being sat on in the rear, but that's starting to be a very sporty, elegant silhouette. But the mouth is looking a little fishy. So maybe bring the chin in a little bit, so it's got a little more of a shark nose to it. Bring it down a little bit as well. So working this way in sections is a really great way to just lay out very quickly the volumes. So that later on you can go in and do a more blended approach. So this is a great quick study on how to start to set up the relationship of the wheels to the body, just using these separate components. In the next demo, we will start to blend these elements together into a singular vehicle shape. Thanks for watching.